Hey everyone, it's Allie, and Verina is incredibly overpowered. I mean, that's what every tier list says, right? Every single tier list and every single website and every single content creator just keeps saying Verina is S tier. And you might see that and you might be like, okay, cool. So that means I need to get Verina. But do you really know why she's so good and what makes her so overpowered? Hopefully today you'll be able to walk out of here with everything you need to know in terms of her kits, how to actually play her, and how to gear her to make her as good as everyone says she is. So what does Verina actually do? She's basically the ultimate support that no other support or sub DPS can even come remotely close to comparing to. Her ult is a team-wide heal that makes her do coordinated attacks, which do a little bit of damage, but the main benefit of it is that every time you attack with whatever character you swap to after her is going to constantly make her heal you, allowing her to have a 100% uptime on the healing set, giving you an additional 15% increased attack. Not only that, but her outro skill gives you a 15% increased D-pen on all of your party members for the next 30 seconds. If you don't know what D-pen is, it's literally the best multiplier in the game, as D-pen applies at the end of the damage calculation, meaning the 15% D-pen is just 15% more damage, period. The nice thing about her D-pen specifically is that it's not conditional, unlike literally every other D-pen in the game. If you want to look at Shauna, for example, sure, she gives you 38% increased basic attack D-pen, which on Encore, for example, would be an ungodly amount of additional damage, but the issue with it is that it's on the next character only, and if you swap up that character, you lose it. This means if I was playing a Shauna Encore combo, for example, I would always have to do Shauna into Encore, and then I could not swap off the Encore for even a second without losing that buff. Verina specifically is just party-wide for 30 seconds, meaning you can use her whenever you want. And if we were to think about it, how exactly would we use Verina and Shauna if it wasn't a party-wide buff? If you use Shauna and then went to Verina, you would lose the D-pen buff. And if you went Verina into Shauna, then you would just lose Verina's buff if it wasn't party-wide. Not only that, but as you upgrade her further with Gift of Nature, she's going to give your team another 20% increased damage, meaning overall, she's going to give your main DPS 35% increased total attack damage and a 15% multiplier on it. If that's not enough for you to make Verina worth your time, she has the only non-pay-to-win cheat death in the game, unlockable at Resonator rank 4, which is account level 40. This is a milestone that a lot of us are going to be reaching here soon, as a lot of people are very close to level 40 already. And if you didn't already appreciate Verina and how strong she is in your team, the cheat death that you're going to unlock in a few days is really going to make you appreciate her even more. And as I mentioned earlier, it's not pay to win, because the only other cheat death in the game is Baiji's, and with Baiji, you need to get her to sequence 5, which means you need to get 5 copies of Baiji, which is very difficult to actually do. Not only is Baiji's pay to win, but it's also just straight up worse than Verina's. Verina makes it so you negate the next attack against you that is fatal, and it gives you a shield on top of it, while Baiji simply just lets you die, and then she'll revive whatever character died, meaning that you lose any buffs the character had, and you lose time on waiting for the revive animation to actually happen. This means that with her cheat death, you don't have any downtime, and it doesn't completely screw over your flow of your current rotation just because you end up slightly dodging too late. Now, as you can see, Verina's kit is honestly pretty good, and she's basically just Baiji 2.0, but I can honestly probably just do that for any character, just list out everything that they do, and it'll probably seem like an insane character on paper. But what truly makes Verina stand out, and what makes her just so damn good, is her on-field time. Verina, if played correctly, straight up has the lowest on-field time of any character in the game. If, for example, Verina took 20 seconds to get all of her buffs going, she wouldn't really be that good, because you'd be wasting a lot of time getting your buffs going, where you could have just done DPS with your main DPS during that. Verina, if played correctly, can have a combo that is as short as 4 seconds. And the nice thing about this combo is that literally anybody can do it correctly, as it's very easy to learn and very easy to master. All you have to do is simply just intro with her, press Q and E, jump in the air, auto attack twice, ults, and that's it. You're done. You just can swap off the character and just go back to playing your sub DPS, your main DPS, and just do a lot of damage with all of the insane buffs that Verina gives you. So with that out of the way, let's go into her skills in a little bit more depth. The first one we should go over is going to be her forte gauge. Every single time she intros, or she does 5 autos, or she presses her E ability, she is going to gain 1 stack of photosynthesis. She can either use up a photosynthesis with her heavy attack or her mid-air attack to heal the whole party and gain a little bit of energy. We're not going to really ever want to use this with her heavy attacks because they're simply just too slow. You can actually use her heavies to travel around the world a little bit faster if you want to. It's still a little bit faster than running, but the main thing we're going to care about here is utilizing the photosynthesis stacks with her mid-air attack. If you jump in the air and then attack with Verina, she will do a bunch of really quick autos, which use up a photosynthesis stack every single time. This is going to be important because this allows us to utilize all of them really quickly to get as much energy out of them as possible, because every time you consume one, you do gain a little bit of energy towards your ult. For her E, she is going to do a little bit of damage as well as gain a lot of energy towards her ultimate and gain 1 photosynthesis stack out of it. And then finally for her ultimate, she's going to jump in the air, mark all enemies around her in a big radius, heal the whole party, and then if you swap off Verina and start attacking with a different character, every single time you attack with that character, she is going to also do a coordinated attack, healing whatever character is currently on the field and doing a little bit of damage. The main thing that we care about with her ultimate here is that the fact that she's constantly healing, meaning she's re-proccing her healing echo set, making it basically always have 100% uptime. What we care about here in the kits in terms of comboing all this together is specifically using her E to get a second photosynthesis stack, because our intro is going to also give us one, utilizing both of those photosynthesis stacks, and then immediately pressing her ult. Now, Verina's going to have a energy regen requirement on her to actually make her gameplay feel smooth. This energy regen requirement is going to be based on what character you're playing as the main DPS for her. For example, with Encore, having around 125 to 130 energy regen is enough. But if you're playing her with something like GN or Kaltaro, you might want to err on the side of 140 to 150 to make her kit feel more comfortable. The reason for this being is we need to get enough energy regen to make the energy that comes from her photosynthesis and her E give you enough energy to be able to cast her ult at the end of her combo. In terms of the combo itself, it's going to be fairly simple to do. You're simply just going to intro with her, which is going to do a bit of damage as well as generate a photosynthesis stack and give her energy. You're then going to immediately press E, which is going to give you another photosynthesis stack. You're then going to jump in the air, very quickly do 2 autos, fall back down, press your echo ability, and then just ultimate and then leave the character. If done correctly with 2 photosynthesis stacks on the autos, you should get to 75% of your outro gauge before your ultimate, and then your ultimate is going to fill up the last 25% of it. Again, if you don't have enough energy regen, this might be clunky because doing E double auto attack will not be enough energy to give you your ultimate back. And if that happens for you often, that just means you need to go and get more energy regen on her. Again, to show the combo in slow motion to be able to see exactly what's happening, I'm going to intro as Verina, and then I'm going to immediately press E to have 2 photosynthesis stacks. I'm then going to jump in the air, auto, use my echo ability, and then immediately ult. One thing I want to mention here is that if you actually have enough energy regen, you won't actually need to do that E to be able to get enough energy to press her ult. If that happens, you actually want to ult and then press your E before swapping off of her to get that E to give you energy for your next ultimate when you go back to her again later. Another thing I want to mention about this combo is that you can actually optimize it a little bit more by reducing the air time when you're doing your mid-air attacks. If you simply just jump and then wait a while before pressing your auto attack, you're going to be really high in the air, meaning you're going to have to wait for Verina to come back down to the ground. If you spam left click as fast as you can as soon as you hit your jump key, she is going to only go a tiny distance in the air before starting her autos, meaning you have to wait less time for her to come back on the ground. This is really important for bosses specifically because that means you're going to be able to dodge with her a little bit faster, and if you go really high in the air, that might just kill you because you can't dodge as you're coming back down. Her combo is really easy to do and it's pretty easy to master, and realistically, as long as you do it a few times, knowing how to correctly do it, you should be able to learn it to the point where you're doing it correctly every single time. And this is what specifically makes her just so strong, is her combo and the fact that you can do it so quickly that you're not really losing any time. If it took her, for example, 20 seconds to do her combo, then her DPS buffs wouldn't really be worth it because you'd be wasting so much time not actually DPSing. But because you can do it in 4 to 5 seconds, she gives you so much DPS that those 4 to 5 seconds are worth effectively over half a minute worth of total DPS if you didn't buff your main DPS with her at all. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the gear and the echoes and how you'd want to put Verina together. The first thing we should mention is going to be her weapon. There's only 2 weapons you're going to ever want to consider for Verina. First is going to be Rectifier of the Voyager, which is most likely a weapon you're going to have plenty of copies of. This is her second best in slot because it has energy regen on it, and then the effect of it gives you even more energy, making her feel a lot better at lower energy regen values. And then her best in slot weapon currently is going to be the 4-star version of Rectifier of the Voyager Variation. This is literally just Rectifier of the Voyager except with slightly higher stats because it's a 4-star weapon, and even if you have a rank 5 Rectifier of the Voyager, a variation will just be better than it once it's upgraded because the energy regen on it will just be higher, which is the only real important stat. For her echoes, they're going to be very simple. we're going to be wanting to run a 4-3-3-1-1 combination. And for our 4-cost echo, we specifically want to run the Bellborn Turtle. This is a echo that you can pretty much infinitely farm as it comes off of one of the world bosses. And the nice thing is you don't actually need to use any weight plates. You simply can just go kill the boss, and then every other kill of the boss, due to how the echo pity system works, you will just immediately get an echo for it. So if you want to, you can just sit there for a few hours and farm yourself a pretty decent or near perfect Verina 4-cost if you really so desire. You're going to want to make sure it's a rejuvenation version of it, as the turtle can either roll with the energy set or the healing set on it. And ideally, if you're hunting down for a good turtle, you want to hunt down one that has the increased healing on it rather than anything else, as we don't really care about Verina's damage. Her damage is already basically in the negative, and she's only damaging for a few seconds every 20 seconds anyways, making it so we don't really care about crit chance or attack on her. The only stat that you're going to want to care about as a substat on the turtle and on all of these echoes is going to specifically be energy regen, as we really want to get to the 140 to 150% breakpoints of Verina to make her rotation feel as consistent as possible. For 3 costs, you're simply going to be looking for energy regen on the primary stat on the echo, with energy regen as the substat as well. And then finally, for your 1 cost, you can either go for attack and health 1 costs to get a little bit more damage out of her ult, or if you want to make her a little bit tankier, you can go for double health 1 cost instead. These are going to give her substantially more health, but honestly I wouldn't really recommend this because her on heal time is already super low, meaning she's not going to really have a high chance of getting hit or killed in the first place. The final thing that we should quickly go over is going to be her Forte skill upgrades and what I would recommend for you to do. The only thing that you really are going to want to upgrade here is going to be her Forte circuit and her ult. Her ult's going to do a decent amount of damage, and it's going to also upgrade the amount of healing that it does. And for her Forte circuit, it's going to be the same thing, where we only really care about the increased healing that's going to give us. You can upgrade her resonance skill if you really want to, but I would highly recommend to not bother with her basic attack and her intro skill, as they do such little damage, and they're 2 things that we barely ever actually use on her kit, making it effectively a waste of materials to upgrade those. The other thing to mention is that you really are going to want to make sure you upgrade her inherent skill on her Forte circuit, Gift of Nature. That's going to give you 20% more attack for 20 seconds when she outros. And eventually, once you get her to Resonator rank 4, which is going to be locked behind you being account level 40, you are then going to be able to get yourself Grace of Life, which is her Cheat Death. You're going to want to make sure you go get yourself this ASAP as soon as you ascend her to rank 4. And finally, we have all the sub nodes for increased attack and increased healing, which you can go for if you really want to, but if you're going to play another rectifier character such as Encore or Yinlin when she comes out, you are going to be wasting a lot of helixes, as all the small passives require helixes, which in my opinion are a resource that's a lot better utilized on Yinlin or on Encore, and they're a resource that you want to be kind of frugal with due to just how rare they actually are. And with all that put together, this should pretty much be everything you need to know about Verina in terms of how to build her and how to actually play her with her proper rotation, which should hopefully allow you to play her a little bit more optimally and properly utilize all the amazing buffs that she actually has to offer. I personally really like Verina just due to how strong she is and how she only needs to be played for a few seconds, while at the same time really making open world content feel really comfy because she always just constantly is healing your team, making it so you just keep grinding monsters if you're grinding for echoes, for example, without any issues. And then on boss fights, she pretty easily keeps your characters topped up after taking a big hit, making boss fights a little bit less punishing. I'm really happy I pulled her as my first 5-star, and she has been a permanent inclusion in literally every party I've ran so far, and I've loved her to death. If you have any questions on anything mentioned here, feel free to leave a comment in the comments below, and I'd be more than happy to help you with anything as soon as I can. I also stream on Twitch every single day, so feel free to come by Twitch and ask me any questions you have there, or if you simply just want to come by and be a part of a community, I'd be more than happy to see you there as well. With all that said, kitties, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video.